Okay, I just need to get the link.
Hey, welcome everybody to Amanda's Culty Cup of Coffee number 70. 70 in a row. Heck
Did you guys
yeah.
like the edit?
Oh yeah, we edited both of our hair to look different.
I don't like this lighting. Can we turn it down?
Yeah, you can change it.
How do you change it?
Just those little buttons on the side. Boom. What do you guys think? Is it too bright? I always am like a fan of light, so I'll just turn the lights all the way up. If it were up to me, I'd have lights everywhere, all around my apartment.
Okay,
Just
so
blasting me.
So for a second, I'm gonna be putting the links in the description box down below because we used your computer, and I would like using his computer because I like to have the mic. But because of that, I wasn't able to put all the links in here, and I have some good links for number 70 today. So I'm gonna be doing that for a second, and Eskel's gonna entertain. He's gonna juggle for you.
Well, I'm not gonna juggle, but I wanted to share more about when I kind of cut off the conversation when Amanda was talking about the deer and how it was just kind of like those moments that you have in life that you feel like they can't fully be explained. And I feel like I've had moments like that, and I always try to like justify them and kind of rationalize them and figure out a reason why I think they can be true. But I still have had many times when, even though it could be as simple as one experience that I had where I was in a completely different state, just trying to basically meet new people and like put myself out there. And I just remember in particular that there was one person that came up to me, and like keep in mind, there's so many people in this new city, in this new place, that I personally felt like there's no way I would see anyone that I know. I have no reason to think that, but I had a time where I did meet someone that for some reason, almost like deja vu, I felt like I knew them. I don't know what it was, and it felt as if they knew me. And what was weird is I've had these thoughts before, but this one in particular, the person went out of their way to come and say hi to me out of a huge crowd of people. So I remember thinking, like, I feel like there has to be something more than just coincidence, or like we both felt something, like there's some sort of like a feeling that can't fully be explained just by us recognizing each other, or like feeling like we're supposed to recognize each other or something like that. And I've definitely had moments like that. So I feel like when I'm trying to like compare it to Amanda's that deer story that she talked about, how she saw a deer with an arrow in that was stabbed into the deer. I feel like life does have strange and interesting aspects that feel almost like deja vu. Even deja vu moments, I feel like I'll have an experience where I just know that I've either dreamt about it, or I've seen this place before, or something about it seems familiar, even when it's a complete, like a state I've never been to in my entire life. Different things like that can really, I feel like it makes me want to believe there is some, aspect of us all being energy or connected or spirituality or something, It just, to me, it makes sense, but... let me read some of the first commenters.
Yeah, sorry, you guys. I'm almost done.
Caitlin and Flinker Mary. They were one of the first ones to comment on mine as well. So that's awesome. We also got Diana. We got Sarah, Taylor, Anthony, Susan. Lots of people. Wow, we already got almost 60 people watching live. That was quick.
Wow. Okay, sorry. There's so much information in this one, and I want to make sure that it's spelt out very correctly. I also want to say... there's so many times where people, especially people who are from the order, will misinterpret what I'm trying to say. Or even, have you ever done a live where you say something and you're not even realizing that you said it this way? Because your brain is...
people interpret it differently, and there's so many times where I'm meaning to get this point across, and then it totally takes a left turn and doesn't get to where I'm trying to go. But
yeah, and so I just want to say, like, I'm going to try as much as I can to be... more, I don't even know how to word this actually.
What, more concise?
like putting all of the information in the description box, or just like making sure that I and this is why I like when people ask questions, and I like when people message me and correct me so that I can know how I'm being perceived and coming off, But I do want to say a clarification. Sorry, I think this is pretty much everything that's in here. Story. We're going to be talking about the murder at the mine. I just want to clarify. all of my stories and all of the stuff from all of these numbered men, no one has the capacity to know all of this information. Like, I'm 27 years old. I wasn't alive when all of this stuff happened. So all the stuff that I'm saying is either stuff that I physically seen, went through, my own personal story, which I have a lot of videos on that, and though that's from me, no one can say that my story is not true because it was my story. And then when I'm doing these numbered men things, people are giving me this information. So if you are a viewer who knows more information or wants to give information on number 70, like, my DMs are open, and I just basically give the information. And some people
don't just be like, it's all wrong, though, because you got to have actual evidence behind what you're saying if you're going to claim that what we're saying isn't accurate. So
I and I will clarify if anyone's ever like, oh, you said the name wrong, or that person actually had 10 kids and not 7 kids. I really like when people do come and say, hey, Amanda, your information was a little bit off. And here's the thing, I will correct it. So I just want people to know, like, I'm trying my very best to get the most, like, the best information, but, like, it's really hard to juggle everything. So I apologize if there's ever been a time where, like, I said the name or the number, or I confused people. I try to correct it, and I'm doing a correction right now about number 69. It's probably not even that big of a deal, but number 69, if you remember last week's video where we were talking about how he lied about how many kids he had, his wife with 20 kids, remember we were talking about how he has 20 kids? That's not his first wife, and I thought it was. And a lot of people in the order think that that's his first wife. It's not just me.
Because she has the most kids, right?
Yeah, so I do apologize. I said it was his first wife. His first wife is actually from the Jenkins family. But still, he still was lying about how many kids he had. Still, this is what I mean. Like, this is an example of where I was a little bit off with my information, and I'm correcting the information. So still his wife, 20 kids with that one. It was still
accurate enough that any normal person would have all been relevant. Mm-hmm. Only an order member would have been like, oh no, it's the second instead of the first.
But I never want someone, even from the order, to be like, oh, Amanda's lying, so we can't. Because, like, for me, if I catch someone lying, I'm like, I guess I have to discredit everything that they're saying. But for me, I'm never, ever, ever I'm never intentionally giving misinformation. So I do apologize for having that misinformation, and
you gotta give her credit, because literally we're basically news reporters for a cult that doesn't want any of their news to get out. So to get all the information is a lot of work. And
I will correct myself. Like, when people tell me, I always am quick to be like, oh, hey, sorry, or I'll put more information out there, because people will be like, hey, I actually have some information I want to be out there. I'm trying to give all the information, but also just remember, like the information that's going to be the most accurate is the stuff that I physically saw myself. So there's that. And also we're going to talk a little bit about 69 again, because I forgot to mention, do you guys remember Athena's story? Do you guys remember the girl who was mentally disabled, who they had have kids, who they basically forced to get pregnant?
Was that one of his wives?
It was him.
Whoa.
It was him that married her and had the child.
Dang. With
her. And that's why his wife that has 20 kids adopted that. For some reason I wasn't putting it all together, but it makes sense that wife would adopt the kid of Athena, who was the disabled woman who he basically, I don't want to get demonetized, but R-word, right? Because if you are mentally disabled and they're forcing her into this thing to force her to get pregnant, then that's what it was. Dang. So yeah, number 69. And he's a public figure, so if you missed last week's episode, we show a video of him because he wrote a book. I can't believe I didn't mention that. But yeah, really, really sad story. But if you guys, I should put that link in the description box down below now. I'll make sure to put Athena's story. If you Google Amanda Ray Athena's story, we talk about that whole story. Is Val here? Val had some interesting information because he worked with Athena. Athena is a fake name, by the way.
Lady, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Val had some really good information, but I don't want to misinterpret it and say it a little bit wrong, so I want him to say it.
And really quick, Diana gifted people memberships, and Flinker just donated, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Flinker Mary. When you guys talk about FLDS, I saw a YouTube compound they were building where this house turned into. Yeah. So I think what happened, she's talking about the Warren Jeffs had a home built for him, and now it's like a bed and breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think happened was, it was built for him while he was in prison, because he was like, the walls of the prison are going to come down and I'm going to come home, so have the place ready. Maybe I'm confusing this place with a different one, but I walked through it.
Wait, went to the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, to me it just looked like a house. And they were telling us the stories, like they made us build this because this is where he was supposed to be living. But it was weird because there were so many rooms and there was cameras in the rooms, in the bedrooms.
What the hell?
I remember that, and maybe
that seems really weird.
I keep looking back on it, I'm like,
maybe were they just having it more as like a, I don't know, museum then?
Maybe. I'll have to ask the people I was with at the time.
And see it, but they don't actually have people stay there.
Yeah, because it was when I was going down there to help for the Christmas. There was like a Christmas thing where we was doing charity work to go get stockings stuffed for the kids out there, and we were getting the trees, and the trees were in that house, and it was so weird. And I was like walking through, and I just went to go pee in one of the bathrooms, and I walked out and saw that there was a camera in the bedroom. So I was like, "There's probably a camera in the bathroom." And now they have a recording of me peeing.
Dang, that's
creepy.
Weird.
Like, it was very eerie walking through there. The carpets were like green. But yeah, I'm gonna Google it now, Mary. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay. Are there any other things that we should bring up? Val's not here, huh?
Every time I see the hi Verl, I think like, did someone see Verl in the comments or something?
No.
They're all just saying hi to him.
They're saying hi to Dad, because Dad's there every week. Okay.
I wonder if he feels anything from that. If he's like bothered by that, or if he's like, yeah, I'm here.
I feel like it's got to be a mixture,
glad they're
because
acknowledging me. I don't know.
It's got to be a
mixture. How
mixture.
he's feeling.
Because if I was a numbered man in the order.
Here's my question. If, I know this will probably never happen, but you know, I'm always leaving the window open for that. If there was an opportunity for you to interview him, would you do it?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be so wild, huh?
Before, I think I would say
goodness.
No, because I had a lot
Just
of hate
anger,
towards him. But now I would just want him to explain his side.
Yeah, since we're so much encouraging, just be open and honest, and like at least, you know, let people know if it's true, you know. So it's like, if he's finally willing to, like, you know, be more open about his life, I would give him an opportunity to share.
But I feel like most people will not do that in the order, because...
Oh yeah, basically nobody would. There's a few actually, like I've done interviews with insiders that are like, we are good, honest, hardworking people, like people should know about us. And then the moment I post it, they're like, take it down. And they realize that they get in trouble if they're open and honest. But I feel like they mostly get in trouble from the order leaders, because they don't want things getting out.
The information, Val is here. Val, I just was looking for you because I wanted to make sure that I said this story right. So I'm talking about Athena. Athena's a fake name, but you remember Athena's story where the girl was married to number 69, who we talked about last week, Daniel Jr., was married to him, and they made her marry him, and they made her get pregnant and have a baby, and she was mentally disabled. Val had a story about Athena that... Are you okay with sharing it? Now I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to share if you don't want to. But Val worked with Athena. Val knew Athena more than I did. I knew her, but I was younger. And I just remember the stories that I heard as a kid growing up.
Mm-hmm. I do remember definitely feeling sorry for her, because she didn't know what was going on, and she still...
It was really sad, because it's like she's mentally... she's not all the way... You know, she shouldn't be treated like... We shouldn't have been treated that way either, but it was even worse to see someone with those kinds of disabilities being forced to live the life that we were being forced to live too, and being expected to have a full-time job.
Because
and
also, like, I don't know exactly what age capacity, but it's like she was a younger age mindset, so it's like forcing even a younger person than all of us to go through all of that. It's so crazy. Okay.
Right. But... Oh, he got a phone call. Amanda, check Mariah Kat's comment, as this is an interesting. Hopefully they will be able to tell you about it. Mariah. Check Mariah Kat's. I stayed in Warren Jeff's Airbnb just recently. There are not cameras in the bedrooms in which you stay, but yes, there are cameras everywhere. Maybe I was in a different building. I can ask because I did like I was saying, it was like a Christmas charity project with a group of people, and there's people that were running it that I could just ask them like where the hell we were, because I thought the whole time it was the Warren Jeffs. They said it was the one that they built for Warren Jeffs when he was coming out of prison, and he was going to live there with all of his wives. So maybe the bed and breakfast is actually a different building, and I'm sure they have plenty of buildings that are like that. Is Val still here? Did he answer my question? So y'all's dad is here watching. He watches.
I'm very confident he watches all of this. I can't guarantee it, but from every conversation I have with him, I can confirm he watches most of them.
Because he talks about what you bring up in the video?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Mary, for the donation. You can talk about my disabilities between order. Yeah, Mary has a YouTube channel, and she discusses, you know, kind of what it's like growing up with the disabilities. And she wrote me a letter. We actually wrote each other back and forth. She's a sweetheart. But if you want to subscribe to Mary, I'm subscribed to Mary. I love watching her videos.
She does art things too, right? Or
she paints too, but she just makes like... The last video I saw, I think, was her talking about, like, growing up with disabilities.
Oh,
but yeah,
interesting.
It's really nice to be able to hear it from their perspective. Mm-hmm. Well, I like hearing everyone's perspective on, like, someone was like, who was I talking to? They were like, hearing your story growing up in a polygamous cult is so fascinating to me. Like, what was it like as a child? And to me, I'm like, hearing your story growing up in a normal loving family, so what was that like? You know, so it's like the same fascination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of my favorite things is just having my mind blown, like seeing a perspective that because of my upbringing and my lifestyle I've never seen from their viewpoint, and so it's always so fascinating when that happens. Or
like when you realize that something that you grew up with is something that not a lot of people grow up with, and you're like, oh, this is not a common knowledge thing. Well, this is what happens when you get beat. Okay, Val says, and I'm so glad he's here to answer this question. So he said he worked with her, Athena. Again, we're talking about Athena, the one that was forced to marry number 69 and have a child with him. I worked with her, and she told me that she didn't like when Daniel Jr., number 69, visited because he would poke her with a stick. And I thought it was sexual, but later on found out it was a cattle prod to shock cows.
What?
It's really sad. Dang. And here's the thing, I always try to say this when I don't know if it's true information, so I'm gonna say this right here. I don't know if this is true, but I had heard that they would lock her up. But again, I never went to the house to see it happen, but I heard multiple times that they would lock her up, lock her in a room, just keep her. And I believe it. I do believe it. But does that mean it's true? I didn't witness it, but from everything that I grew up in the order and the things that I've seen, I believe that happened. Sadly. Yeah. But I would love to know where she's at now. The last I saw, it was that her mom was taking care of her, and I actually really did like her mom and thought that her mom took good care of her. But I don't know how, I don't know how the whole, I wish I knew more about that whole situation.
That's just crazy.
For anyone confused about who Athena is, here's Amanda's video. Thank you so much, Diana. Okay, perfect. Because I will be putting that in the link down below, but I did a whole video on Athena's story if you guys are more interested in knowing about Athena. We didn't even get into number 70. Okay, number 70 is going to be kind of confusing. We're gonna go kind of all over the place with this, but number 70 is of the Grundtvig family. He's still alive, and he's still in the order, but the order website has a picture of him on their website, and it is in the link, the first link.
It's kind of old, though, right?
Yeah, because he was in the military. Mm-hmm. So he's on their military page, which is a public page. They put him in there. So if you want to see the picture of him when he was in the military, you can click the link, right? The first link. It's on the DCCSociety.org. This is the order's website. They have their own website. They call themselves the DCC Society, Davis County Cooperative Society. So number 70 is the son to number 13, and so these are the Grundtvigs, the Grundtvig family, right? Number 13 was the very first Grundtvig to join the order, right? Because 13 is back in the time of Brother Artel. Brother Artel was probably even back in the time of number 1, Brother Eldon.
Wait,
So,
for the what?
For number 13 to be given out.
Oh, yeah.
I think Eldon gave him that number.
First ones.
So number 13 is number 70's. Sorry, this is going to get so confusing. Number 13 is number 70's dad. That's just, I'm trying to tell you, like, where number 70 fits in, okay? Mm-hmm. The Grundtvig family. Still alive. And he works at, so he never lived polygamy. He never had kids of his own, but he did get married twice in his lifetime. And so I guess, like, he never had biological kids, but maybe the wives had kids. And he still is alive and runs a,
Wait, he himself never had kids, but he married girls that had kids?
Yeah, I think he married one that had kids, but he just never had kids of his own. I don't know why. But he runs the order's, what is it, a thrift store at Valley Cole?
Thrift store? Would it be more like a pawn shop then? I don't know of any thrift stores they have. Their thrift stuff would be really used. I
don't know. But I do know our dad grew up at Valley Cole, right? That's the same place.
Valley Cole, that's where they did the coal, and they eventually did wood later. Oh, wait, they turned it into something else, you're saying?
No, people still live there.
Well, yeah, I live there.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, that's like a...
What do you mean run it, though? Is it still a company now?
It still is a company.
Oh,
what else are they using it for?
I thought they just turned it into a home.
But there's always piles of coal and things there.
That's true. I don't know.
I think they still use it.
Huh. Oh, yeah, maybe they do because, they started the mine again. They got the mine up and running again. So maybe they do still have that be like where they sell some of the coal or something.
Yeah. Could be. Okay. So this is not about number 70. This next stuff is about number 13. So we talked about in the murder at the mine. There's a book called The Murder at the Mine, and it was Allison's great grandpa who was poisoned, and the person to have rumored to have poisoned him was number 13. So number 70's dad. And something that's interesting is that there's all these stories that like Allison's great grandpa that died of getting poisoned, he just went into the house and he drank out of number 13's whiskey bottle, and he didn't know that there was poison in the whiskey bottle. And then there's another story that he told him to go drink out of that, and that he had wanted revenge because Allison's great grandpa was operating this I forgot what it's called, but it's something that moves parts for the mine, the coal mine.
Oh, wow, we just got more information. They're saying they use Valley Coal as a thrift store for the order. They call it Goodwill Storehouse.
Where is it? Who said that?
Oh, interesting. No, sorry, I just got a text message.
Oh,
interesting. Yep. Okay.
Good.
That must be fairly new.
This is why it's nice I need to just announce who the next person is and be like, hey, anybody who wants to give information on number 71.
Well, they should know what comes after 70, you guys.
71. You
start
guys have
sending in the information, please.
Yeah. But that's good. See, I'm glad that people can let us know because I hate having to be like, oh, we should have said that. But we can always update on the next lives too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the whole rumor was that he got poisoned. And if you look down in the description box down below, I have a link that goes to let's see, where is it? Obituary. Yeah, the obituary of Allison's great grandpa, and it says in the obituary, I believe, that it says that he was poisoned. See, Charles Ray Mattingly. Funeral services for Charles Ray Mattingly. He was 30 years old. He was 30, and he was a coal miner. He was a resident of Huntington, and he died.
Wait, this is on the order website?
No. You can find this because it's a public obituary.
Oh, I see.
But on his death certificate, it says accidental poisoning. And so it was really interesting. Mm-hmm. I think I put the link to the video in the description box down below of Allison kind of telling the story, and there's a whole book written on it. And there's a lot of people, I believe it was not an accidental poisoning, but a lot of people believe that it was completely accident. It's just the weird thing is that the guy who happened to poison him was the one who was kind of also injured in the accident at the mine. And was it his brother that was killed? He accidentally killed someone.
Wait, the person that got poisoned accidentally killed someone?
Yeah. Oh. And then he was killed.
What?
You didn't hear the story? We need to watch that.
I watched Allison's video. I need to watch it again though. Because, well, I do gotta go. I'm all out of time. But you should definitely share Allison, because didn't she say some good points as to why she believes that it was real too? Mm-hmm. And there was way more to it than just necessarily trying to get rid of somebody or accidentally poison them or whatever.
Yeah.
But I gotta take off, but I hope you guys have a good
I feel
week,
bad because I was going to
I'll
ask
see
you questions
next time.
and stuff, but you didn't get to really talk
Well,
much.
we actually have been brainstorming. I really think we should do either a Patreon Live tonight or tomorrow where we're going to talk a lot. Like, you can ask your questions, and then I want to do a deep dive into relationship advice and get some dating advice from
me?
Amanda. Well, from my older sister, because I got some new information to share on that on my Patreon. So
about your dating life?
Yeah. We got some things changing
so subscribe
around,
to the Patreon. We have the link in the description box down below.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Awesome. I'm going to take off, but all you need to know, Amanda, is that when you finish, just click that button and then that button. That's it.
Okay. For you. Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Have a
Hopefully
good one,
I don't
guys.
forget. Bye. Are you staying? Or, sorry. I forgot I was live for a second. Bye. Have fun. Okay. I was just going to ask Eskel a bunch of questions, but now that he's gone, I might just answer your guys' questions. We are going to be talking about, I really do want to do a Patreon live tonight, and we'll be talking about, I guess, his life. I don't know why he would want dating advice from me, though. I'm divorced. Just kidding. I can tell you what not to do. Amanda, your hair looks awesome. Thank you. It's definitely was a process to get it back to this light because I went so dark. I did boxed hair dye. Boxed black hair dye. I don't think I will ever do that again. It was a learning experience. Val says, honestly, some of what she told me was so bad I couldn't believe it was real. Oh, that's really sad. And you know what? Maybe, again, if anyone's new here, what we're talking about is the woman who is still in the order of mentally disabled and was supposed to marry number 69 and have a kid with him. What did he say again? Honestly, some of what she told me was so bad I couldn't believe it was real. And this is what I'm getting at. Maybe that is why she now lives with her mom. Maybe the mom stepped in. I'm sure someone out there's got to give me this information because I would like to know. Like, it seems like the mom just stepped in and was like, I don't want her to be a part of this anymore. Because why else would she not be with the number 69 anymore? You know, she's not really a part of that family anymore. She's still in the order. She still does a lot of things that order people have to do, but she's not. She's like with her mom now. At least last I heard. Hi, Rochelle. Emily's here. Denise is here. You better not do that again. My nerves can't handle another box hair dye. Rochelle was just dying when she found out I was dyeing my hair. She was there when I was doing it, and she's like, stop it right now! So if you guys want to see chaos like that, subscribe to the Patreon, because that's where it happens. Amanda, take the big chair. You want me to move over there? I feel like I just need to zoom the camera. I feel like I'm just going to look just as small over here. I have a question. Why is it called Davis County Co-op? So, originally, the order actually wasn't supposed to be a religion. It was a co-op. So, originally, it was like people from all types of religions was joining this Davis County Cooperative Society, right? And then it became more and more religious based. I don't know though, because I wasn't alive at the time, but I really feel like, because they all had the same sense of like morals, because they were all ex-LDS, it seemed like, but I think what it was like the Great Depression and people were trying to band together and help each other out. And so that's what it originally started as. And so they did this like storehouse thing where, and they have this picture on the website, daviscountycoopsociety.com. I think it's .com. It's down there, dccsociety.org. They have a picture, actually I'll just show you. They have this picture of, right here. If you just go to the page, it shows this picture of a house, and I believe this is supposed to represent the first storehouse that was in Bountiful. It's still there, and that's where they like put the thing, all the stuff that can be used by the members in. Like if you had a shovel that you were like, I'm gonna put this in the storehouse so everyone can use it. So like the idea of the Davis County Cooperative Society in the beginning was a good idea, right? Everyone's helping each other out. That is, if no one's taking advantage. Also, I feel like a lot of cults start off as really good ideas, right? I always look, because I've been fascinated by cults ever since I left the order. And I always look back on the one that fascinates me the most is the one that ended, I can't remember what it's called, but it ended in them drinking the Kool-Aid. It started off actually like sounding like something I would join, because at the time racism was still really big. There was segregation, where they had separate bathrooms even for different races. So this guy started his cult being like, hey, everyone's welcome. We're not going to play like that. Like, God is love. So obviously that's going to draw a lot of people, right? And then slowly he got more and more corrupt. But I feel like you see this pattern in all these cults. It starts off seeming like, because no one's going to join something that doesn't sound great. So it starts off good, and then it gets bad. But thank you for the gifts. Flicker Fade's gifting memberships. A cooperative is different from a corporation, too. Yeah. It was more of like, they call it the home spot in Bountiful. You know, how we all, when we pray, we have to face north because that's where Bountiful is at. That is where the order originally actually started, too, was in the home spot. And that's actually where they go for the 24th of July and the 4th of July every year to celebrate. But yeah, that's also where the storehouse was. That's also where, it's interesting, right? Because like I always thought of it as a religion because I was born into it as a religion. But to hear the history of it, not necessarily you didn't need to be, you could be a different religion and be a part of the Davis County Cooperative Society. I didn't know that till I was older, though. Amanda Ray, I thought it was because they wanted polygamy and they didn't agree with other leaders' attitudes, so they think they just wanted... Exactly. So I always thought that it started as a religion because they all wanted to be living polygamy, right? But I think what had happened was they were all people who still wanted to live polygamy, but they didn't want to be part of the LDS church, and they all just came together with their like-mindedness and started a cooperative. Cooperative? Yeah. Because there's even people that quote Eldon saying that he even said you could... Did he say atheist? Like you could even be atheist. I think that... Oh, don't quote me on that one, actually. I'll have to ask the person that told me that. But basically, it was a community of people with like-mindedness. But to me, it doesn't make sense because I'm like... It was a religion. In my brain, it was a religion because they all happen to be living polygamy. They all happen to be similar beliefs. But I'll have to ask when it did become a religion. I think it's the 1945 meeting. The New Year's meeting. I think that's when it actually was like, okay, we are an actual religion now. The order started 1935. So I think what happened was it's a society. We didn't know exactly what's happening. And then the Brother Eldon got the keys, right? And so then he's the leader now. And now we're a religion. I don't know. It is confusing because they all wanted to live polygamy, right? I don't know. And we look at when Ortel's time comes in, it's obviously a cult because Ortel's over here, being who Ortel was. I feel like it got progressively worse. I hear a lot of good things actually about Brother Eldon, number one, the one who started the whole order. And maybe he started with good ideas, like we don't have to necessarily believe in everything the same, but we should have, a set of morals, and to be able to put things into the storehouse and trust each other with it, you were probably going to have some type of morals, right? To not take advantage. I don't know. I wasn't alive in that time. But all I can tell you is I know what it was like in Paul's time, and I saw it with my own eyes. And I try to like piece things together, and I'm really glad that I started doing this Culty Cup of Coffee every week, because it's really made me learn more and more about the history of the order, and to realize it wasn't just like what it is today, you know? The order has been evolving since 1935, and in my opinion, it's been getting worse and worse and worse. There's some times where I think that the millennials, is that what it's called? that they're making it better because they're fighting more for their own rights. But I don't know. I get scared to think of who's the next leader going to be. Thank you for the donation. My mom knew 2 girls lived in the that's what it was called, the Jonestown, right? Wow. That is crazy. There are so many insane cults where it's like you would think, why would anyone believe that? But it's like, it's not, just like I was saying, it's enticing at first. There's a reason why they're there. And I made a whole video on what it's like to be brainwashed, or how to brainwash someone. And I kind of want to make another one because I have more points to add to that now that I've researched more in like psychology and like started doing my own like reflecting on all of that. Bountiful is in Davis County. There we go. Davis County Cooperative Society. So they just named it the city, and they are the society of the city. But Val, Gerald, do you know anything on this? Like, when did it start to be, like, were they going to church every Sunday? Were they doing, because when I was talking to, I know they had these meetings. It was like secret meetings though. So I almost feel like what it was is they had the storehouse, and they were a society, and then they started to be like, okay, we can make this a religion. So then they started to see who could be worthy of joining. I don't know. It's so confusing, and I wish that I could have just been alive at that time so I could tell you. Fun fact, they didn't drink poisoned Kool-Aid, it was Flavor Aid. Really? I guess probably the news reporters thought it sounded better for the newspapers to say Kool-Aid rather than Flavor Aid. Rochelle is traumatized by Amanda. Good. Now I'm not the only one traumatized. So were they LDS but living polygamy until Ellen got the keys? Yeah, so Eldon was a polygamist. So that's the thing that's interesting, is that most of these people did come from the LDS church, but it's like, how many people are not LDS in Utah? Especially back in that time, like, Utah could not be a state unless they got rid of polygamy, right? They outlawed polygamy. So everyone that was there was polygamous, because Joseph Smith, you know, they had this revelation that they needed to track across the country, and then they stopped in Utah, and they built basically their whole kingdom in Utah. But so everyone's living polygamy, and then Utah couldn't become a state until they got rid of polygamy. So then where do all these polygamists go? So it's kind of just like all these people with the same beliefs anyways, because they're all in Utah, they all have that culture, but then they decided to have a society. Like, I think it makes more sense if you understand the whole history of it all, but it still, to me, doesn't make sense that it could be a society and not a religion, and then they decided to make it a religion. I feel like, because some people will disagree with me, and we'll argue back and forth, and they'll be like, well, you can be a member of the society, like, the order as a religion is different than the DCC Society. You can be a member of the DCC Society and not be a member of the order. And I was like, how does that even make sense? Because just like that, like, how could they have people that are a part of that, but they all, if they didn't have the same beliefs? Anyways, it just puts me, I'm just going to keep spiraling and going into this hole because it doesn't make sense to me. And people still say it to this day, that you could be, that it's two separate things. I don't think that doesn't make any sense. Especially because they still have the moral thing, and they are all, anyway, whatever. I'm making myself go crazy. Maybe I can have someone who knows more about older order history talk about that, actually. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll interview someone. I heard that the FLDS suffered a flood, and people from the order went to help the FLDS get sorted out, so even they're still close, and I guess family are, yeah. So, I guess the family are in the order and FLDS are others. Yeah. There was a flood down there. This is a while ago, but yeah, I feel like there's always been times where order has tried to have numbered men go out there and like associate with them. They've gone to like funerals. Well, FLDS won't let you have outsiders come to like their private funerals if they're indoor, but there's been times where FLDS have had outdoor funerals and order people have tried to show up. And I remember going to AUB functions, not church stuff with my family, but like AUB would have a lot of like big gatherings at their homes, and I think we're like kind of related to some people in the AUB, so like my dad would have us go over there, and it was always weird because I'm like, you always say that like outsiders are bad, we're not supposed to be friends with outsiders, but now we're over here at these outsiders parties. Like, I'm confused. But I guess to him and to them, and maybe my dad was searching for another wife, I don't know, but we were always, it was weird. It was like outsiders are bad, but other polygamists are more okay because they're okay with our lifestyle. I don't know. I remember as a kid being confused about a lot of things. I'm still a confused adult. Does the LDS have storehouses, big ones, or just within their homes? I don't think so. Maybe they did back in the day, though. Because there's this whole thing on consecration, that the order and all of these other polygamous cults are so diehard on consecration. So I bet you in the history of the LDS church, it was there was a big thing about consecration. And right now, so the order would always bash the LDS church because they're like, oh, they think that they're going to get the benefits of living consecration by only paying 10%. That's the difference with us, is we give our all. That's how dedicated we are to the Lord. The craziest cults never start off that crazy. Exactly. It's always a gradual thing. And just like right now, like no one in the right mind is going to join the order. The only people I knew of joining the order were from cults that were worse. Like the LeBaron group. The LeBaron group believes in the blood atonement. Like, if you're going to sin, then God's going to want me to kill you to save you from your sins so that you don't have to keep sinning and go to hell afterwards. Like, the LeBaron group is crazy. So I could see someone from that group being like, looking at the order like, oh wow, that's probably so great. So we had some people from the LeBaron group joining the order, and I believe a few from the AUB like married into it, but a lot of the times when men, it's so weird. There's a few stories of women who were married into the order and didn't realize they were marrying someone who was in a cult until after they got married, and they're like, by the way, I'm in a polygamous cult. they don't who said this? The last person to find out they're in a cult is the person in the cult. The last person to find out it's a cult is the person in the cult. So it's kind of like that. They don't call it a cult, but they know it's not normal enough to, a lot of them get engaged to the women and they act like the thing that they're a part of is not what they think it is. And then when they're married to the woman realizes, oh, there's polygamy and you're going to try to make me live polygamy. It's just a manipulative thing. There are some men who get married and marry outsiders into the order and they don't want to live polygamy and they don't even know why they're in the order. It's just to be with their family, but I know someone who was born in 1981 and had a child in 1996, so they're from the same generation. Born in 1981 and had a child in 1996. I'm from the same generation as my... Wait, what do you mean? What are you saying? Rochelle, explain yourself. As someone born in 81, I refuse, so I am saying 82, 96. Consecrating is turning everything over to the order, like putting your money in the order bank. Yeah. I've had a lot of people ask what consecration is, and I'm like, I should explain it, sorry. But in my order brain, I'm like, everybody in the world knows what consecration is because we eat, sleep, breathe consecration in the order, so it's weird to meet people that have no idea what the definition of consecration is. But for us, it's basically like we would sign inventory forms that like anything of value, my car, my guitar, anything that I thought had a value was written down on an inventory form and signed over to the order so that technically they could take whatever they wanted if they needed to. That's what consecration is. It's all the Lord's. It's not mine. And same with like our bank was not a public bank. It was the cult's bank. And if they didn't like you, you're not going to get your money out. Are members able to easily leave the order now, or is it still a struggle? That's a good question. I really, really feel like it will probably always be harder for women to leave the order than men. Um, but it varies on which family you're in. But I have talked to women who have left recently, and hearing their stories were even harder than my stories. It's really sad to hear what they're going to put the women through, because sometimes I wonder if it's because they know. Jessica had a really good point when we were filming Escape Polygamy together. I think she said this on one of the episodes. They look at losing a woman not as just losing a woman, losing a potential of 12 people, because that woman could have produced 12 kids. So their grip is on the women even more. And even growing up, I felt like Eskel had more freedom than I did, because it's like you're more of the property, right? They're more like, their eyes are, and maybe in society that's a thing too, where you're in a religion that's strict. Like, we all, I think, maybe sadly have experienced this, where there's different roles on men versus women. In the order it's like that, but like on steroids. So I think it has gotten, to answer your question, it's gotten a little easier, I think, for people to leave, especially because there's such a big community out here now of ex-members. Whereas before it was like, where are you going to go? You don't even know. Everyone you know is in there, and there's like 4 people that have left. So there's more resources, like HOH too, and like people that are willing to help you, even outsiders that are willing and are more aware of the situation. There's more family out here, so that in that aspect it's easier. But I still feel like there's so much brainwashing and control that there's a lot. The mental aspect of leaving is still the same hard, if that makes sense. And maybe not, actually maybe, I'll correct myself, maybe it's not as hard because there's more information out there now. You can Google, we have a show, Escaping Polygamy, like you can watch all of this stuff on cults now, like we've evolved to where maybe it doesn't seem so scary to leave now. Hopefully, I don't know. I left in 2013, so, and back then, like, there was no Escaping Polygamy, there was no, like, I was lucky to figure out what HOH was at the time. And by the way, if any order members are ever watching, which they usually are, I always have the links to HOH in the description box down below. It's Holding Out Help, and they're the charity that helped me when I left. They helped me get a job. They helped me figure out how to write a resume. Stuff that we didn't learn in the order, they were able to help, like, coach me into the outside world. And if you ever are feeling like you need someone to talk to about that, you don't trust me, there's a phone number in the description box down below that you can always call and ask questions. They've got therapy. They're a really good foundation that's helped me. I've been able to get therapy with them too, and I really appreciate it. You memorized the spells? Awesome. Are you talking to me? I feel like you guys are just having conversation back and forth with each other now. Sorry, Amanda, we're talking about something completely different in the comments. Oh! I'm just talking to myself right now. They could have tried to think of the less attractive name for the cult than the order, but they wouldn't have been successful. It's interesting, though, the order has a lot of significance, because even in the work, the Centennial group that Calvin came from, they even had an inner part of the cult known as the United Order, the UO. And the order, it I think signifies consecration. And I think even in the FLDS, there was a order that you could be a part of. But yeah, Calvin's cult was weird. It's like a cult within a cult to be a part of that united order. It's like always leveling up. We were talking about millennials and what the year cutoffs are. Oh, because I was like, because of the millennials standing up more. I actually do. I look at some of the kids that have left the order recently, and I'm like, wow, good for you. Like, you're figuring things out that I didn't figure out till like 5 years after I had left, and you guys are catching on. But maybe it's also because there's now this information that's kind of easier available. For me, I didn't know why David O. Kingston went to prison. Number 33. If you want to know why David O. Kingston went to prison, go to Culty Cup of Coffee number 33. That's his number. But no one told me that it was because he raped his niece. That's what he was in prison for. We just were told that David was in prison. We need to meditate, because they did the meditations in the private school. So every day at noon, the bell would go off, and we would all sit down and meditate. And there would be times where they tell us what to meditate for. And one of the things was to get Brother David out of prison. And this whole time I'm meditating for this guy, hoping that he's going to get out of prison. Like, please help Brother David get out of prison. And then I come to find out, 15, 16 years old, I find out why he actually went to prison. And it's not because how would I have known to research that? Someone told me, they were like, you should look up why he went to prison. And, yeah, someone helped me figure it out, which is like, that's what I think is helping the millennials. Am I even saying that term right? Am I a millennial? I don't know. Maybe I'm a millennial. Maybe I'm thinking Gen X, Gen Z, whatever. That's probably what it is. They're having more of a wealth of knowledge. It's not being as hidden because of social media now. Maybe back in the day it was easier to cover up secrets, but now that we have platforms too, and that they're able to see, oh, this person that left isn't on drugs living under a bridge like they told me. They're actually over here having a family. But yeah, I remember, like, it's interesting to think of how it's evolved, which is a good thing. There's good ways that it's evolved, and there's bad ways that it's evolved, obviously. Amanda, you're a millennial. That's how that conversation in the comments got started. Okay, I'm a millennial, I guess. Is that a good thing? I think it is. Where are we at? Does anyone... Oh, are you talking about Melanie's sister, or are you talking about my friend from the FLDS? Pixel? What about LGBTQ people in the order? I would think it's a lot more dicey than even in the LDS church. Oh yeah, they still have things. I've heard there's still conversion therapy in the order. So for these men who are gay, they're still gonna have to get married, right? Especially if it's like Daniel's kids, Paul's kids, like the leadership's sons are going to get married. So there's been times where they have gay sons and they make them get married, and they're just going to conversion therapy as they're married and having kids. So yeah, they just think that, sorry, I shouldn't generalize the whole order and say they all think this, but I'll just say what my dad said. When my half-brother started to come out as gay, my dad would say things like, you're just making it up for attention, gay is not natural, gay is not something that, you can be, basically. He was being very... And then the mom was crying, and she was like, oh, it's because I had eggs when I was pregnant with you, and I had too many hormones, too much estrogen, and soy and estrogen is going to make your kids gay. Like, they're just, I don't know. I'm sure that you guys, it's not news to, well, maybe to some people, but I feel like in Utah culture, we've all heard these things. Because it's so bad it's just ridiculous. That's the thing, growing up in the order, yes, I will say, like, I was a robot a little bit. Like, I believed a lot of the things that they said, but I'm grateful that I had a gay half-brother, because it made me start to actually think about it. I never would have thought about it before, but it made me be like, why does it matter? Who cares? But they care, apparently. I'm talking about the daughter of Daniel Kingston. Oh, yes. I mean, I don't talk to her. I would love to, though. I just don't know how to get a hold of her, or even if she would want to talk to me. Maybe she would, I don't know. But I hear that she's actually has a really funny personality, and she lives her own life, and she's pretty happy. There are, yes, her sisters definitely reach out to her. She has a relationship with sisters that have left. But that's all that I know on that. What would your number one advice be for someone in the order trying to get out? I guess it depends on the person, and it depends on what they're needing, but I think that I would want them to contact Holding Out Help, and I would want them to get into therapy, even if they don't think that they need it. That people who need it the most think that they don't need it. So I would really, really highly encourage therapy, highly encourage not isolating when you leave, trying to find a healthy community on the outside, and not, because that's the scary thing, is isolating can be scary, but also getting with the wrong crowd can be scary too. You're in such a fragile place when you leave, so I would say to anyone trying to leave, call Holding Out Help and get into therapy as soon as you can. And even if you can't, if therapy's scary for you, maybe practice other types of therapy, like journaling and self-reflecting and even yoga and meditations, but not like order meditations. There's actually on YouTube, it's called Cleansing bowl music. I love meditating to cleansing bowl music. It help, like I like to start my days with that. But yeah, I would say therapy, it doesn't even have to be talk therapy. I think talk therapy is really good, but just being able to, because you're not going to heal, and you're crazy to think you're going to leave a cult and you're going to leave all of the toxic behaviors behind like this, like overnight. No, you're going to bring those toxic behaviors with you unless you're willing to heal and you can't know how to. I was having a conversation with someone about this today, actually, because they were like, do you ever feel sad that, was it today? I don't know. Maybe someone in the comments actually was the person I was talking to. But they were like, are you sad that your mom will, like, basically she doesn't really love you in the way that you deserve? And I was like, I used to be very sad about that. I used to be very resentful of my mom. I used to hate that, why can't you just love me unconditionally? Why can't you just accept me? But I've come to the realization that you don't know what you don't know. And if she was never shown a healthy love, how is she supposed to just show that to me? How are you supposed to know a vocabulary, when you've never heard it? How are you supposed to know French if you've never learned it? So, to me, that's what it means to get therapy. How are you supposed to know how to be healthy when you've been living in this toxic lifestyle your whole life? Yes, you know what you don't want, you know what not to do, but that doesn't mean you know what to do to be healthy. It's like, I think I've used this analogy before, like would you trust a doctor to operate on your heart if they know all the things not to do, but they don't know what to do? So, I say, if you're leaving the order, contact Holding Out Help, get into therapy. I wish that I would have stuck to therapy. That's one regret. If I could have stuck to therapy and been more strict with it when I first left, I think that I would have healed and evolved a lot faster. And I would be further in life. I do think so. Val says, when the order lost the coal mine and I wasn't sure what we were supposed to be meditating for, so I meditated for my health and a sexy body. That's funny. And a sexy body. You were doing that in the order too? That's funny. I don't even remember. I remember meditating for direction a lot. Like, please give me direction on who I'm supposed to marry. Because they really put that in your brain. They were talking about direction in, first grade. I remember telling my friends in first grade who I thought I was supposed to marry. And they were like, me too. We're going to be sister wives. Okay. I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then we're probably going to close out because we've been live for over an hour. This has been kind of a long live. Do you know how many people left the cult now, and is there more leaving every day? Not every day, no. But there's more people per year now than ever before. And it's weird because when we were filming Escaping Polygamy, it was so hard to, even hear of an escape or someone wanting to leave, and two, finding someone who is leaving and escaping and willing to talk about it. But, if I had to put a number on how many people have left, there's hundreds. There's got to be hundreds because you think of my family. There's just 4 in my mom's family, and then my dad has how many does he have now? Just one family. We've got probably almost 10 people that have left, and then you think about the Jessie had a wife, and she left him with all of her kids even. So there's been times where families have left. So there's got to be hundreds. If you've seen my episode on the Cottonwood case, where Paul was trying to sue his own followers for the property, because Paul was acting like that, trying to take their property from them, then he lost a whole swath of members. But also because Paul didn't really want that. Yeah, you got to watch that video, actually. It is called... What is that one called? I'm actually coming out with a part 2 on that one, going more into depth about the lawsuit and how it all ended with Paul. Therapy is important and everyone has different experiences, so I think there should be a class action for those who survive this. Well, here's the thing too, is I don't know. Everybody needs therapy. And it's not even just, I don't know. I wish I could actually say this advice and know that the order people are going to listen to it. But sometimes I feel like, especially the men that leave, they really, really think that they don't need therapy. And it's kind of like if you don't acknowledge the problem, there's no problem. I've met a lot of ex-order men who act like that, and I'm like, it's only gonna help you, but if you don't, you have to acknowledge that there's room to grow and that you need help before you can actually get help, you know? And I can't force people to think that. But I did get a message from someone asking for therapy recommendations that had left the order, and that made me really happy. So there are the few that are going to listen and they're actually going to take the advice. There's other people that are going to be like, man, it doesn't know anything. I don't care. And that's fine. Here is the video on the cottonwood case. Thank you, Diana. You are on it today. Wait, what? You changed your hair color back to blonde? Oh, you saw Eskel with a ring? We'll go to Patreon. Just kidding. You like my hair? Thank you. I grew it out. All right. If you ignore your problems, they will not go away. Exactly. And the issue I always had is, like, I was always the one pointing out the problems, and then I became the problem. Because they're fine ignoring the problem. But I wasn't. And so then that made me the problem. And that happens a lot in families with the kid that's willing to, you know, hold the parents accountable, or maybe be like, why, this doesn't make sense, why are we doing this? Then that kid, if it's the first one doing it, that kid becomes the problem kid, especially if they're being raised by people with narcissistic tendencies that don't like to be called out. Anyways, thank you, Christopher. Okay, I am going to go. But I think we will be going live on Patreon later on, so subscribe to my Patreon in the description box down below. Next week we're doing Culty Cup of Coffee 71. I don't know what video I'm coming out with this week. I've been kind of busy, so I did the cook-off video for kind of a break. I'm taking a little bit of a break lately, but I will be on Patreon probably tonight with Eskel, and then I go live on Patreon every Monday, so subscribe to the Patreon, and I guess I will see you guys next Sunday. It was fun hanging out with y'all. Bye, Val. Bye, Diana. Bye, Joanna. Bye, Caitlin. Bye, Milky. Bye, Joanna.